Well, hello, and welcome to Tax Opinion Hour, which isn't actually an hour long. Back for Blood. I've been playing a lot of the beta so far, and I've got some words to say about it. The comparisons and parallels to Left 4 Dead are numerous, so let's just dive into that right off the top. Back 4 Blood is a co-op first-person zombie shooter developed by Turtle Rock Studios, the developer behind the revolutionary and highly influential Left 4 Dead. So influential, in fact, that I've seen any number of games since described prospective players as, it's like Left 4 Dead, but, which I suppose sets it in a similar category to Dark Souls in having defined a subgenre. But we're not here to talk about Dark Souls, we're here to talk about Back 4 Blood, which is so much like Left 4 Dead but that most people seem to be leaving off the but. And more specifically, I want to make an argument for why it deserves that but, and why that's a very good thing. If you've been playing the beta as I have, then you're probably aware that the difficulty jump from Survivor to Veteran, which reads like a jump from easy to normal, is mighty dang steep. It feels outright unfair, to be completely honest, and this video essay was originally an examination of just why that is. We'll still get into it, but that examination caused me to really dive into the game's intricacies and truly come to appreciate what it's doing and how it's an evolution of Turtle Rock's impressive first title and a game worthy of standing on the shoulders of its predecessor. But, as nothing can be understood in isolation from its context, we must first discuss Left 4 Dead and how it plays. I should also mention that I'll very much be focusing on the co-op side of things. I have a word or two about the versus mode, but that's for later. I recently went back and played Left 4 Dead to make sure I'm remembering details properly so I'm not just flying by the seat of my pants and making things up. Left 4 Dead alternates between two broad modes of play. The default mode is when there isn't a horde, and is primarily about maintaining forward momentum. The faster you can progress through the level, the less you have to deal with special infected and hordes after all. But when a horde does pop up, the game switches to its other mode, which is purely about managing large numbers of enemies coming from every single direction at once. To facilitate these modes of play, the player in Left 4 Dead is fairly strong against swarms of enemies. Players have a melee that affect a large area, weapons reload quickly and deal large amounts of damage even quicker, and everyone has a fallback option of pistols with infinite ammo. Individual common infected effectively don't matter. Left 4 Dead therefore lends itself to a fast and furious playstyle that heavily favors quickly clearing through areas as a group, and then pulling together at a moment's notice when a horde comes up. Going into Back 4 Blood the first time, I defaulted to the Left 4 Dead mode of play, rapidly storming through areas with reckless abandon and doling out bullets like it was going out of style. But I quickly learned that wasn't really working. Individual players are distinctly, but subtly, weaker than they were in Left 4 Dead. Zombies can hear gunfire from further away and are quicker to react aggressively. Your weapon is slightly more cumbersome, with ADS being a mechanic that exists. Your melee only affects a single enemy at a time, and deals terrible damage to boot. And you don't have an infinite ammo sidearm to fall back on. This makes individual players significantly more vulnerable to hordes. My early issues with managing my ammo and taking more than my fair share of lumps were my first experiences with what Back 4 Blood is really about: resource management and a methodical approach to working through the level. Suddenly, the attachment system was making more sense. If I run with a silenced pistol, I can use that to clear out areas without attracting too much attention, then switch to something full auto when things get messy and noise isn't as much of a concern. But wait, what if I use the ranch rifle with a hollow sight and a silencer to push my range out and give me more damage to act as overwatch for the team? Then I could use a Tech 9 for my sidearm, have something to spray and pray when things get bad. Establishing weapon roles within your loadout is essential for effective ammo conservation, and without the ability to conserve ammo, you're going to run out at a very inopportune time. But it's also relatively easy to not run out, if you're careful with your shots and are being methodical about making your way through the level. Crucially, hordes in Back 4 Blood are entirely player-controlled. While Left 4 Dead would send hordes at players that hadn't moved in a while to encourage them along, Back 4 Blood won't. It also doesn't spawn enemies behind the team in areas that have already been cleared outside of specific events. allowing for the formation of a unified front as you move through the level. Helping this along is levels that are slightly narrower than they were in Left 4 Dead, which makes it more difficult for the Horde to wrap around the survivors, if you're playing smart. While you're methodically traversing the levels, you'll notice that there's plenty of stuff to be looted. Guns, attachments, ammo, consumables, and copper coins all spawn quite frequently, though less on higher difficulties. The latter of those serves as RNG protection and is used at shops in the safe rooms at the beginning of each level. RNG protection, though. You might be thinking to yourself, that sounds a little like a mechanic that would be in a roguelite. And you're right. That's not the only place Turtle Rock dipped their toes into the roguelite pool for inspiration either. Welcome to cards. Actually, I have a clip for this, hang on. There we go. Every time you reach a safe room and clear a level, you earn supplies, which are used once you leave the run to purchase cards. These cards contain perks. Some are simple, like a 10% increase to rifle damage, or more health or more stamina. Others are more involved, like one that grants temporary health to your teammates within 10 meters of an enemy that you kill while you're more than 15 meters away, or another that heals everyone for 25 health when you're downed. These are basically roguelite perks, and are steadily unlocked throughout your time with the game. These cards are then placed into decks, which are selected upon the start of a new run and determine which perks you have access to, one at the start of each level. And this is really where the game begins to open up. These decks become your build, each run a process of starting at the bottom and steadily gearing up while the challenge grows around you. It's a damn shame that the card system is closed off for so long. Specifically, longer than the amount of time that it will take the average player to feel like they want to up the difficulty, where they'll benefit from having more powerful cards and a more focused build. Alright, back to gameplay footage. While I originally thought that veteran difficulty was tuned a bit too hard, I've come to realize that I was merely playing wrong, and the game had more to teach me. It's more fair than you realize, you just need to plan smarter and play smarter. There should definitely be a difficulty between Survivor and Veteran though. The current jump between these difficulties is stark enough to be discouraging to fresh players. That's most of what I have to say, but while I was working on this video, I noticed that there's a lot of discontent with the game on various discussion boards. I'd like to address some of the most common complaints I was seeing, because I think they have a high chance of scaring off a prospective player, and many of these negative opinions seem to come from a very tribal place, where Left 4 Dead is seen as inherently better for some reason. So let's start with, there isn't enough gore, and the guns feel bad. I'm lumping these together because I think they're related. The games approach their gore and their weapons very differently. Left 4 Dead features dismemberment and large hunks of skin getting ripped off, revealing rib cages and the like. On the other hand, Back 4 Blood doesn't have dismemberment, but it does have great splashes of blood on bullet impact. Personally, I think the approach in Back 4 Blood leads to a significantly better feedback when you score a hit, and the tech behind blood splatters on walls from headshots is pretty neat. More specifically regarding gun feel, I've seen a lot of people saying that the guns feel bad even in the shooting range, which doesn't have the blood splash feedback. I think this complaint is mostly from people that don't like recoil or ADS, because by comparison, Left 4 Dead has neither. For my money, ADS and a bit of recoil feels better, but I guess that comes down to personal preference. There's also complaints about how the guns sound. Gun audio in Left 4 Dead is noticeably more forward in the mix, so maybe that's what people are reacting to? I don't know, I think they sound pretty solid, no complaints there. The directional audio is leagues better than it was in Left 4 Dead though, and I think that's worth way more. Hearing a zombie coming up to my side has saved me more times than not. I'll let the game audio play here for a bit, so you can judge for yourself.
Almost out. Firecrackers here. See that?
Next common complaint, the graphics are bad. It looks worse than Left 4 Dead. No, it doesn't? I mean, Left 4 Dead still holds up fairly well. It makes particularly good use of a really solid color palette, but it still looks like a 12-year-old Source game. That is to say, the environments are boxy and feel sterile and empty. Back 4 Blood makes good use of pretty much every modern deferred rendering trick that exists to great effect. It's Unreal Engine 4, of course they do. And it runs pretty nicely to boot. Aside from the periodic hangs that I think are related to asset loading, I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt that this will be smoothed out upon the full release. The reload animations suck. A couple of things to say about this. No, they don't. And what I'm seeing as the explanation for this complaint is that the reload animations don't account for if a round is already in the chamber or not. While I like erring on the side of realism with regards to weapon handling, this was definitely a conscious decision to make sure all reloads are of a consistent length, regardless of weapon state. It's a balancing thing, and this complaint is incredibly pedantic. Get over it. Also, the view model animations are goddamn incredible and worthy of study by any aspiring animator. Shut up. The PvP sucks. Hard agree. Not what I'm coming to the game for, so I don't personally care, but you're in no way wrong on this one. It sucks. I didn't like the PvP in Left 4 Dead either, but it was definitely better than whatever this is, and I understand it had a strong following. It's a shame that this isn't the campaign versus that people were expecting, or a suitable replacement. And as a final point, the frequency with which I see the twin complaints that it's just a re-release of Left 4 Dead, and too different from Left 4 Dead so therefore bad, just points to a lot of the negative opinions being from tribal fanboys defending their precious. Don't listen to them. There's an open beta for a few more days, and when it comes out on October 12th, it'll be available through Game Pass, which is still the best deal in gaming and you should totally have it by now. So really, why not try it and give it a chance? I did, and I ended up falling in love with it. I think you might too. With that, we're done. Like, comment, and or subscribe if you want to go play some games. The last one isn't optional.